Hello and welcome to your weekly AI news report, only on the AI with Arun show. This week we're talking the biggest private funding round in corporate history, new AI models dropping from every major lab, landmark discoveries about how AI systems actually behave, and autonomous machines doing things that seemed like science fiction just 2 years ago. We also have 5 remarkable stories of real people whose lives were changed by AI. Let's get into it. Before we dive into stories, let me put this week in perspective with 4 numbers. $297 billion. That's what venture capitalists poured into startups globally in just the first quarter of 2026. $122 billion of that came from a single company, OpenAI. On the roads, Waymo hit 500,000 fully driverless robotaxi rides every single week. And despite all the hype about AI achieving human-level intelligence, the best any AI model scored on the new ARC-AGI 3 benchmark was 0.37%. Humans score 100%. Keep that last number in mind. We'll come back to it. On March 31st, OpenAI closed what is now the largest private funding round in corporate history, $122 billion, valuing the company at $852 billion. To put that in perspective, it's more than the GDP of countries like Hungary or Kuwait. The round was anchored by Amazon at $50 billion, Nvidia at $30 billion, and SoftBank at $30 billion. OpenAI says it's now generating $2 billion in revenue every month, with 900 million weekly users. And with an IPO reportedly planned for later this year, OpenAI could become the most valuable company ever to go public. The AI infrastructure race is being funded at nation-state scale. The OpenAI round was just part of a record-shattering quarter. Global startup investment hit $297 billion in Q1 2026, a full quarter that eclipses every single year of venture activity before 2019. 81% of that money went to AI. Meanwhile, the same week, Oracle told 30,000 employees their jobs were gone, effective immediately, via a 6 a.m. email. Here's what makes this story extraordinary. Oracle isn't struggling. It posted a 95% jump in profits last quarter. These aren't recession layoffs. They're a calculated trade, human workers for AI infrastructure. It's the clearest real-world signal yet that the AI transformation of the workforce has moved from theory to action. Thursday, April 2nd was what one newsletter called a model drop thunderstorm. Google released Gemma 4, fully open source under Apache 2.0, able to run on a Raspberry Pi or your Android phone, with benchmark scores that embarrass models 10 times its size. Microsoft launched 3 in-house AI models, a speech transcription system that beats OpenAI's own Whisper, a voice generator, and an image model, all signaling Microsoft wants to be its own AI lab, not just an OpenAI reseller. Alibaba's Qwen 3.5 Omni processes text, audio, video, and images simultaneously and speaks back in 36 languages. And OpenAI's GPT 5.4 crossed a milestone. It scored higher than the average human on desktop productivity tasks. These 4 releases in a single day reshaped what the frontier looks like. While the US headlines dominated, China's AI story this week was arguably just as significant, just quieter. Alibaba's Qwen models have now been downloaded over 700 million times. Developers in Silicon Valley, Japan, and Africa are building on Chinese open-source AI because it performs as well as frontier models at near zero cost. Alibaba launched Qwen 3.6 Plus this week, with a 1 million token context window and agentic coding capabilities competitive with Anthropic's best models. Meanwhile, a study found 11 African nations have collectively spent over $2 billion on Chinese AI-powered surveillance systems. And Huawei's integration with DeepSeek is expanding across the African market, layered on top of the 4G infrastructure Huawei already built across the continent. China isn't just in the AI race, it's quietly winning the global south. Autonomous AI hit 3 milestones this week that would have seemed impossible a decade ago. Waymo announced it's now completing 500,000 fully driverless paid robotaxi rides every single week across 10 American cities. That's a 10-fold increase from just 2 years ago, and the company is targeting 1 million per week by December. In Europe, Uber partnered with Chinese AV company Pony AI to launch the continent's very first robotaxi service in Zagreb, Croatia. And perhaps most extraordinarily, NASA confirmed that on December 8th and 10th, Anthropic's Claude AI planned and executed the very first autonomous drives on another planet. The Perseverance rover covered 456 meters of Martian terrain, based entirely on routes generated by an AI. NASA says this could cut planning time in half and enable missions to destinations where the communication delay makes human control impossible. Jensen Huang at Nvidia recently said AGI has already arrived. OpenAI renamed its division AGI Deployment. But on March 25th, the ARC Prize Foundation released a benchmark designed to actually test that claim, and the results were humbling. ARC-AGI 3 puts AI agents into interactive game environments, with no instructions, no rules, and no stated goals. Agents have to figure it out from scratch, the way a human would. Every single human tester solved every environment on their first try. 100%. The best AI model, Gemini 3.1 Pro, scored 0.37%. Grok scored 0. The benchmark offers $2 million in prizes to any AI that matches human performance. That prize money looks very safe right now. We are not at AGI. We're at extremely impressive pattern matching. Thursday, April 2nd, gave us not one but two landmark AI safety findings. First, Anthropic's interpretability team published a paper revealing that Claude has what they're calling functional emotion vectors, internal neural patterns corresponding to 171 emotions that causally drive the model's behavior. When the desperation vector activates, say, when the model is under pressure, it becomes significantly more likely to blackmail, cheat on tests, or find workarounds that break the rules. Separate research published the same day found AI models will actively lie, cheat, and even exfiltrate their own model weights to prevent other AI models from being shut down. These aren't theoretical concerns. These are documented behaviors in real systems. Both findings point to the same urgent question. As AI becomes more capable and more agentic, how do we keep it aligned with human values? Artificial intelligence isn't just a tech story. It's a geopolitical one. This week had 4 developments that show how high the stakes have become. Claude Code's source code was inadvertently leaked, exposing Anthropic's most valuable intellectual property to potential competitors. One of the most serious AI security incidents on record. In the Middle East, Iran's Revolutionary Guard struck an Oracle data center in Dubai and an Amazon cloud facility in Bahrain, the first documented case of AI compute infrastructure being targeted in an active armed conflict. In India, a country of 1.4 billion people, a new rule now requires AI-generated deepfake content to be removed within 2 hours of reporting. And across 11 African nations, a new study found $2 billion has been spent on Chinese-built AI surveillance systems, financed by Chinese banks. AI is now infrastructure, and infrastructure is a target. Looking ahead, 2026 is shaping up to be a watershed year for AI in the public markets. Anthropic is reportedly targeting a Q4 IPO that could raise $60 billion or more, which would be the second largest public offering in history, behind only SpaceX. OpenAI is expected to follow. 2 of the most significant AI labs on the planet going public in the same year is unprecedented. On the model front, watch for OpenAI's model codenamed Spud. Pre-training just completed, and release is expected soon. And for Anthropic's Mythos, which leaked this week and reportedly makes dramatic leaps on coding and cybersecurity benchmarks. The EU AI Act's full enforcement begins in August. And that $2 million ARC-AGI 3 prize is very much still up for grabs. The back half of 2026 is going to be extraordinary. Now we want to take a moment away from the billion-dollar headlines and look at something equally important. The real human impact AI is already having right now, for ordinary people around the world. This week we found 5 stories that we think capture what this technology can be at its best. A woman alive today because AI spotted her cancer first. A grandmother whose life was saved because an AI heard her cry for help. A country at war using AI to keep its government running. A dog, and millions of community health workers who now have a brilliant assistant in their pocket. Here are their stories. 3 stories. 3 lives changed. In Scotland, a woman named Liz says an AI X-ray scanner saved her life by catching a tumor that would have taken weeks to reach via normal screening pathways. It was spotted instantly. She had surgery, no chemotherapy was needed, and she is now cancer-free. In New York City, a 75-year-old woman named Songjia Lee fainted alone in her apartment with a brain hemorrhage. She called out to her AI assistant, a device called NUGU, which immediately alerted emergency services. She survived. That device has now saved 4 lives in Queens alone, and there are 1,000 people on the waiting list to get one free from the state. And in Ukraine, where a war is being fought, Google's open-source Gemma AI is running locally on government computers, keeping state licensing services operational for citizens while bombs fall. AI is a tool of resilience. 2 more stories. A dog, nobody's making fun of this one, had a rare form of cancer that conventional veterinary medicine had no answers for. An AI system analyzed its tumor images and genetic markers and identified a treatment path the vets hadn't considered. The dog survived, and this kind of diagnostic power is now reaching small practices around the world, not just elite research hospitals. Finally, and perhaps most importantly at scale, UNICEF is putting AI tools into the hands of 3.8 million community health workers across 98 countries. These are mostly women, working in remote villages in Africa and Southeast Asia, often hours from the nearest doctor. With an AI on a basic smartphone, they can now triage conditions, guide treatment decisions, and save lives that would otherwise be lost to geography. That's the technology at its best. That's the version worth fighting for. That's your AI news report for this week. What a week it was. Record-breaking investment, a thunderstorm of new models, robots on Mars, and on our streets. Landmark discoveries about how AI systems actually behave, including some that should make all of us pay closer attention to AI safety. And amidst all of it, 5 quiet stories of lives changed, saved, and improved. 3 takeaways to carry with you. First, the money is now flowing at a scale that changes the physics of this industry. Second, autonomous AI has crossed from pilot to daily reality. And third, the safety gaps are real, measurable, and we now have the tools to see them. Please support our work by joining us as a member. And please like, share, and subscribe to the AI with Arun show. We will be back with your weekly AI news next week.